Tonight on CBC Vancouver News.
My earlier dose is still not showing up on my vaccine passport.
A vaccine card glitch leaves hundreds in limbo. Also,
we're not ready for my son to get it.
Double vaxxed, but hesitant about getting their kids the shot. And
90 to 95% of their business was international.
Why Indigenous tourism operators may not recover from pandemic losses as quickly as others.
This is CBC Vancouver News.
Good evening and happy Thanksgiving. Well, millions of British Columbians have now downloaded the province's vaccine card. For the most part, things have been pretty smooth. But as the CBC's Rafferty Baker reports, some people have run into errors with their immunization record, and getting it sorted out has been a slow and frustrating process.
It's one of the more common issues with the BC vaccine card.
My earlier dose is still not showing up on my vaccine passport, even though it's been in there for months.
One of the doses is missing, making it look like a person is only partially vaccinated.
I put in the second vaccine date I had, and it came up, oh, partially vaccinated. So it wasn't registering that first vaccination date, and I still don't have it.
Green has been trying to get the issue resolved for about 3 weeks, and he's not alone.
It said vaccinated, but one vaccine.
Nelson's Pam Armstrong doesn't dine out much, so she hasn't had much need for her card yet. But the error means more hoops to jump through when the pandemic has already left her exhausted.
I'll persist one day when I don't feel frustrated, and I'll persist and get the right code. But in the meantime, I'm done with worrying about it. It's been a rough, rotten couple of almost 2 years here.
I've not been made aware of large numbers of people frustrated by the system.
Premier John Horgan says things like names or health IDs have caused glitches.
And we're working on those anomalies as they emerge. But I encourage people, if they're having difficulty, contact their local MLA, contact the local health authority, and people will be there to assist them to get the immunization card downloaded.
The health ministry says it doesn't track exactly how many cards need corrections. 3,200 calls have been logged with the Vaccine Line call center, but some are duplicates, and people have used email or other ways to flag an issue.
It's kind of frustrating. I mean, I try to be a responsible person, and, you'd think that they'd recognize people trying to be responsible, and here we are, kind of just in limbo.
The ministry says it aims for a 4 to 7 day timeline, but some say the fix takes weeks. Fine for now, as you only need a single dose. But after October 24th, a vaccine card that says you're partially vaccinated won't get you into restaurants and other non-essential services or events. Rafferty Baker, CBC News, Vancouver.
And some big changes are coming for kids and COVID in BC. A new mask mandate is expected to be announced this week, and parents of kids aged 5 to 11 are being asked to register their young ones for the COVID vaccine. As Mira Baines tells us, while some of these steps are being welcomed, there is some hesitancy as well.
As BC health officials are set to announce measures to stop the spread of COVID-19 in children ages 5 to 11, parents are facing important decisions. Already being encouraged to register young children to receive the COVID-19 vaccine. So far, the federal government has not yet approved the shot for kids under 12, but that could be a matter of weeks.
At the pit of my stomach, I have hesitation. I think more and more kids are getting used to the mask thing.
Me and my husband, we took the vaccination, but we're not ready for my son to get it. So we just need more study. Dr. Cora Konstantinescu, who runs a vaccine hesitancy clinic for parents and children at Alberta Children's Hospital, says a recent study shows some are ready for it.
We had about 750 parents of children 5 to 12 years of age, and this was a Canadian representative sample nationally. And we had around 66% of parents say they are ready to vaccinate their children.
She says 16% of parents in the study were unsure and 18% opposed. She urges parents to do what's best for their child.
Kids do get COVID, and Thankfully, not many end up in hospitals and ICUs, but some do.
She says it's important to note children spread COVID-19 as well. And when it comes to masks, already kids in kindergarten to grade 12 have to wear them in classrooms in BC. But now the province is planning a new rule for those 5 and up in indoor public spaces. Provincial Health Officer Dr. Bonnie Henry is holding a COVID-19 briefing tomorrow.
It's a no-brainer.
For these grandparents, the upcoming new mask measures and the possibility of COVID-19 vaccines for young children are welcome news.
It's the health of the child, and that's why we get them vaccinated, or wearing masks until we get the pandemic under control.
Still, the moves to target young children with COVID measures are expected to generate some controversy as the pandemic continues. Mira Baines, CBC News, Vancouver.
A man in his 30s has died after his car hit a large tree near Jericho Beach, and police say speed was definitely a factor. It happened around 9 last night when he lost control of his black SUV near Northwest Marine Drive and West 4th Avenue. The car's front end was badly wrecked. The victim died on scene. Emergency responders were unable to revive him. This is Vancouver's 14th car crash fatality of 2021. And there's growing concern that Canada's Indigenous tourism operators won't be able to bounce back as quickly as their peers. As Renee Filipponi shows us, the pandemic has delivered a huge hit and recovery seems very far away.
What you're seeing above that particular opening, right above it, is the map.
At the Inkamik Desert Cultural Center, Derek Bryson shares his band's history with visitors, who have been few and far between during the pandemic.
Without the visitors coming, we're very stale. We're not doing much. We're losing out on revenue. We're losing out on sharing a piece of ourselves with everyone else.
He and others in the Indigenous tourism industry could be feeling that loss for quite a while.
The unpredictability surrounding this is very, very real. It's a fearful fear.
A recent report from the Conference Board of Canada says Indigenous tourism operations are not expected to return to pre-pandemic levels until 2028, nearly 5 years later than the overall tourism industry.
We have businesses that are selling assets right now just to pay the bills.
This Indigenous tourism representative says some businesses won't survive. Others won't recover until foreign travel returns to normal.
Some of the more rural, remote, northern experiences, really 90 to 95% of their business was international.
Yeah, we replaced all these. Yeah. They're all new. Beautiful.
Esqueo Air's owner, Tira Fraser, says like all airlines, hers took a hit from COVID.
We had a whole season booked, lots of work uplifting and supporting Indigenous tourism. To have it disappear literally almost overnight.
The launch of Esqueo Air 2 years ago marked the first female-founded Indigenous airline. Fraser saw the business as a way to connect remote communities. She says in order to thrive, the entire Indigenous industry needs more support.
Indigenous peoples and businesses, they uplift their families, they uplift their communities, and that social, ecological impact, economic impact is shared.
Something she says is key at a time when there is a push for reconciliation. Renee Filipponi, CBC News, Vancouver.
Hundreds of early bird runners headed to Granville Island this Thanksgiving morning for the annual Turkey Trot Run. And after a pandemic year of no organized foot races, trotters were thrilled to get at it again.
It's been years, like many years, so it felt pretty amazing.
Yeah, it was a gorgeous start to the morning, perfect weather. We got really lucky out here and it's good vibes all around.
Beautiful weather. Everybody runs so fast.
The course looped for 10 kilometers around False Creek, ending north of Island Park off the seawall. But with COVID-19 precautions in place, runners couldn't just flock to the start line. With limited spots available, participants had to get there ahead of the carve with proof of double vaccination. Each racer wore a bib with a timing chip, and the official results will be posted online at RunVan's website. Well, it was once a rare sight, whales close to the downtown core. But over the years, while no less thrilling, whales are being seen a lot more. A weekend full of sightings has the city abuzz. And as Susanna De Silva reports, these chance encounters are not ending anytime soon.
I need to go see these boys.
It was a sight that left witnesses scrambling for a better look.
Holy smokes, are you kidding?
Orcas paying a visit to downtown Vancouver.
The planes obviously can't park here because there's some real nature happening here, right? So it's just amazing.
Robert Johnson captured the spectacle.
See that kind of amazing majesty, it's just, that was the largest creature I've ever seen in my life. I can't believe things like that live. It's crazy, yeah.
But they do, and many seem to be thriving in the waters off BC's coast.
We're seeing a return to a balanced ecosystem unlike anything that I knew in my lifetime, and perhaps for the first time in centuries.
Researchers say many whales are making a comeback, the exception being the southern resident killer whales, which rely on dwindling salmon returns. But others, like humpbacks and transient killer whales, believed to be the ones seen in Cole Harbour, are returning. Transients feed on mammals like seals, whose populations have been increasing.
The seals that used to be concentrated in a few places, they began to move and start to hide out because now it's risky to go out in the open. And now we're finding the killer whales are coming into these spots. Some are near Cole Harbour, maybe near the seaplanes, maybe near the ferries.
Good news for those who came today hoping for a glimpse.
I'm excited that there are whales around, so let's see. Once I see one, I'm going to be more excited, that's for sure.
Because I saw the small flick on the TV and on YouTube about the whales. So that's why I'm here.
I'll be very happy to see them, but I don't know, it's not normal, right?
It's a moment Johnson won't soon forget.
Definitely changes your perspective and what kind of animals and creatures live underneath the water here in downtown Vancouver.
And scientists hope the more sightings, the more the public will want to protect them. Susanna Da Silva, CBC News, Vancouver.
Johanna is off today, so we welcome Amy Bell. Those whales are incredible.
They are incredible.
Susie's right. I mean, it just doesn't get old. I could watch them over and over again.
I know. It never, I've grown up on the West Coast and I never get tired of seeing them. So, yeah, it's pretty special.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And this delightful weather we've had, speaking of special.
Yes.
But it's about to be no more, isn't it?
It is about to be no more, unfortunately. We are heading into a very rainy stretch. One thing to keep in mind, not for us, but the system that will be bringing us rain tomorrow already starting to affect the North Coast. We have wind warnings up for the coastal areas of the North Coast and Haida Gwaii. We could see gusts up to 110 kilometers an hour overnight before things start to ease tomorrow morning, and then they'll see that rain coming in. So you can see that system setting off, just making its way towards the province. So we'll see sort of the northern half with some snow, and that's going to translate to rain for much of the province. But I'll have a full update coming up in just a few minutes.
Okay, I don't know if I look forward to it, but I guess I have to.
You kind of have to get used to it.
Thanks, Amy. Well, we know the day as Thanksgiving, but for a growing number of Indigenous people, this holiday is being reclaimed in their homes. Gone is the usual turkey dinner and pumpkin pie. Some First Nation households are observing this weekend as Indigenous Gratitude, a time to celebrate their unique cultures, foods, and teachings to pass on to the next generation. Take a look.
Well, Indigenous Gratitude really is based upon honoring not just spirit, but honoring our food, honoring our teachings around the food and how it nourishes our body, the creation stories around it. So I like to make a Three Sisters soup. The Three Sisters soup is also a story from the Haudenosaunee people back in my nation. It consists of hominy, corn, squash, and beans. The creation story of the Three Sisters was that the Sky Woman had fallen from the sky. While she was her time here, she had gotten pregnant by the west wind. When she was given birth to these twin boys, she had passed away, and her gift to her twin boys who had survived was corn, beans, and squash. Gratitude is a way of balance in a lot of ways. It's a way of honoring ourselves and the people that had come before us, and honoring our resilience. I know there's a lot of misconceptions that go around, and I mean our culture and our foods and our identity is really getting recognized in a more positive way. The dinner plans, well, the main dish is moose, well, the moose roast, and then Three Sisters soup with the fry bread, and I was gonna create a wild rice casserole.
After a return to normal for the summer, Alberta's Thanksgiving was anything but. How Albertans handled a holiday with tough rules. Next.
Leader and an entrepreneur.
The center, known as Jack, was opened in 2014 by its namesake, the first African-Canadian woman elected to Parliament. It offers programming for girls and young women from ages 7 to 17.
So this is a space where we become a second family for a lot of these girls, and it's a space where they can access various resources in terms of academics.
The focus of this year's International Day of the Girl is Digital Generation, Our Generation, celebrating girls in tech. In a statement, the Prime Minister writes, "On this day, we resolve to not only shine a light on these challenges, but to take concrete action to ensure women and girls have the tools they need to succeed, which includes digital connectivity." Around the world, girls are less likely than boys to own and use devices, limiting their access to tech-related skills and jobs. That's due in part to cultural stereotypes and gender norms.
Particularly poor households, where there might be only one device, for instance, it will go to the boy versus the girl child.
Post-pandemic, the United Nations estimates that 11 million girls are being deprived of an education. Jack's annual fundraiser launches tomorrow with a goal to raise $100,000 by next spring. Dale Manukduk, CBC News, Toronto.
Canada is still reeling from the fourth wave of COVID-19, and no more is that the case in Alberta. As Travis McEwen reports, experts say Thanksgiving could be a make-or-break-it situation for the province's healthcare system.
That's your Thanksgiving meal that you ordered?
Manus Nambier usually has Thanksgiving dinner with 12 to 15 people, but today he's picking up a takeout meal for himself and delivering another to his grandmother.
It sucks, but it's definitely necessary. It's not like we should break some rules just so we can have a little bit of fun for one day.
Chefs at Avario are cooking up Thanksgiving meals. The majority of customers have taken theirs to go.
They said they don't want to come into the restaurant just because of COVID. I think that is the main reason.
At Horilac Park in Edmonton, some families are taking in the outdoors. Denise Walker is gathering with family to celebrate Thanksgiving and a few birthdays. It's a way to have people from 5 different households gather safely.
I understand it's been difficult to be away from friends and family, but if you can get together outside like we are, it's definitely still really lovely to see everybody, and I don't think we're missing out on not being indoors.
The province's premier has voiced concerns about indoor Thanksgiving weekend gatherings. That's mainly because last year, 2 weeks after Thanksgiving weekend, there was a surge in the second wave. Now for this one, he's advising Albertans to stick to the indoor 2-household rule for vaccinated people.
And those gains are very tentative. They could all be lost overnight this weekend if Albertans do not carefully follow the public health guidelines.
And healthcare workers in intensive care units have the same concerns.
If we don't follow the rules, things will get substantially worse. We'll lose Christmas over this.
People like Walker who are taking precautions are still hopeful that others will today as well.
I'm hoping that perhaps maybe people can make some different choices than have been made in the past, and that the numbers do indeed plateau or continue to go down.
Either way, we won't likely see the outcome for another couple weeks. Travis McEwen, CBC News, Edmonton.
Canadian-born economist David Card is one of 3 winners of this year's Nobel Peace Prize in economics. His work focuses on areas of key public policy like immigration and wages, both in Canada and the United States. And he says there are a lot of people who deserve credit for his award.
People are part of a big team. And oftentimes there's almost a lab-like environment. And so people can benefit by being part of the team and for having a victory for the team.
Card's research on the minimum wage, inequality, education, and immigration upended some of the conventional wisdom about how those issues affect the economy. He shares this year's prize with 2 other economists, an American and an Israeli.
That's Dawn, I'm Dustin. I can speak for myself.
You might be taking more than a second glance at one Sycamus school. 6 pairs of twins. What the kids have to say about it next.
If you're wondering what these men are doing, well, believe it or not, they're picking berries. Cranberries, to be precise. This is how they're harvested, although to the untrained eye, it can be quite misleading.
I can't believe they do it this way. I thought they grew on little bushes. You know, I didn't actually get that they float the bushes and then they rake them off, and it's amazing. It's really a sight.
Well, just for the record, cranberries do grow on bushes, but then the farmers flood their fields. Cranberries are hollow, so they float to the top, creating a crimson tide of hundreds of thousands of berries, which are then easily corralled by workers.
It's the most efficient harvest method. It's less labor, and it gets all the berries. The other methods that have been found leave a lot of berries on the bog.
The bogs just south of Vancouver are considered to be a perfect place to grow the berries because the soil is slightly sour and there's plenty of West Coast moisture. British Columbia is now the 3rd largest cranberry producer in the world, with an annual harvest worth nearly $30 million. Now, if you're confused about all of this growth and are among those people who think cranberries are something you just eat at Thanksgiving, think again. Everything on this table was made with the berries. Those in the food industry think they have a big future.
You can do everything and anything, basically, from sauces to chutneys, to relishes, to trifles. We make cranberry trifle, cranberry strudel, cranberry cocktails with champagne.
They freeze wonderfully, so you can use them all year round. And as you can see, I mean, you can do so much with them.
That's something BC farmers are counting on. They're putting aside another 1,500 acres of land to grow even more berries in the coming years. John Rao, CBC News, Richmond.
Last January, the last Canadian pulled into Calgary on its way to Vancouver. At the time, the future of passenger rail service through the Rocky Mountains was in doubt. But that changed a few months later when a Vancouver-based company bought the Rocky Mountaineer. a train designed solely for tourists. The Mountaineer started running last May and today is on its way to Calgary for the final time this year. It's been a wild first year for the Mountaineer. The train had to deal with floods, washed out tracks, and equipment breakdowns. Despite that, 15,000 people rode the Mountaineer this season. There was room for another 5,000. But the company was fighting two rumors that hurt business.
A lot of people heard about us, and the first thing that they heard was that it was such a successful operation that, in fact, we were full.
During the off-season, the company will be spending money fixing up the coaches in hopes of adding another round trip per week. They will also be spending more money trying to dispel the rumor that there are no passenger trains running through the Rocky Mountains. And if they're successful, they hope that other rumor, that there are no seats available, will come true.
Hi, I'm Amy Bell, and here's what's in your CBC Vancouver inbox.
Join Gloria Makarenko at the 65 Roses Soiree, a virtual boutique experience in support of Cystic Fibrosis Canada. Get your tickets today at 65rosesgala.com. And the Chutzpah Festival of International Jewish Performing Arts returns with an exciting lineup of performances, including dance, music, theater, and more. Visit chutzpahfestival.com for more info.
All right, get ready for all the cuteness with this next story. Teachers at an elementary school in Sycamus, BC are seeing double often. This year, their small school has an unusually high number of twins. And as Brady Strachan reports, the dozen are the talk of the town.
And the bad thing is we fight a lot. Not a lot. We fight sometimes.
Despite the odd quarrel, Logan and Aurora Dawson are inseparable. They share a grade 1 class at Parkview Elementary in Sycamus. And as twins, they know an awful lot about each other.
And I know what kind of food he does not like. He hates squash and pumpkin.
Logan and Aurora are one of 6 sets of twins at the school, of only 205 kids.
It seems like an anomaly in my 25 plus years of education. I've never seen this.
The twins factor is the talk of the town. Worldwide, 1 in 42 children are born as a twin, and Parkview is bucking the trend.
That's Dawn on Dustin. I can speak for myself.
The identical twins at Parkview say one of the worst aspects of having a twin brother is their friends mixing them up.
And I come in from recess and he says I'm Dustin, but I'm like, no, I'm not.
How does that make you feel?
Like he just doesn't really care anymore.
Cody and Levi Clark in grade 6 can relate.
What's the worst thing about having identical twin brother?
Having to look as ugly as him. Yeah, same as him. I don't like looking like him.
There are a lot of benefits, though. For Kate Osmondson in grade 4, it's her unique bond with her twin sister, Reese.
She's like a best friend, and she's very special to me, and if anything goes wrong, she always has my back.
Macy Lane knows how to cheer her brother Max up when he's feeling down.
Sometimes if I have chocolate, I give him a piece. I like about being twins that I always have somebody to look out for.
And Emily Presley is always on her brother Nathan's side, even if they do fight sometimes. Brady Strachan, CBC News, Sycamus, British Columbia.
A bit of a trend. The identical boys don't seem to like each other.
No, they're
the
working through some issues.
Yeah, for sure. Got to be something in the water there.
I know.
Sure.
That's crazy.
And another kind of water. We're about to get a lot of it.
A lot of it, yes. Unfortunately, for much of the province today, it was gorgeous, picture perfect, pretty much everywhere. But not the case tomorrow. We do have this system that's sitting off. It's already moving in towards the north coast, generating very high winds. They'll get up to about 110 kilometers an hour overnight before they ease early tomorrow morning. For the rest of the province, though, yes, it does look wet. So we're seeing that rain coming into Vancouver Island and washing across through out into the Fraser Valley. Fraser Valley, you'll get the rain later in the afternoon, but many areas will be seeing it moving in later in the morning. And then taking a look, we could see some flurries mixed in Dease Lake. We'll just see a high around 5 degrees. Prince Rupert will dealing with the rain left behind after that system moves through. Kelowna and Cranbrook, you're escaping at least one day of sunshine left before that system gradually makes its way down to the very southeastern corner of the province. So we are in for a couple of wet days. Tonight, especially for us around here, dropping down to about 3 or 4 degrees. So that means we could be seeing our first frost. So we will keep that in mind. We're going to see a couple of chillier nights before we see those temperatures getting up again. But yes, certainly it is going to be on the chilly and wet side for the next couple of days. So 10 degrees for the high tomorrow, 11 Wednesday. We do get a little bit of a break. I don't think we'll get any sunshine on Thursday, but at least staying dry and then heading back into the wet weather to end the work week.
Kayla, I thought it was already chilly, so...
Get ready.
Oh, great. Thanks, Amy.
You're welcome.
And thank you for watching on this Thanksgiving Monday. We are back here tomorrow night at 6 p.m. There is no late local news tonight. Good night.